Have you ever wondered what it would be like to stand next to an animal so huge it feels like you're staring at a living skyscraper? It sounds like something from a movie. But here's the thing. Our planet has been home to some of the most massive creatures you can't even imagine. And today, we're going to meet 11 of them. From the deepest parts of the ocean to the ancient forests that once covered the earth. These giants are not just big, they're mind-blowing. Think about it. What's the largest animal you've ever seen? An elephant? A giraffe? What if I told you there's a creature that makes even the blue whale look small in comparison? But it's not just about size. These animals are fascinating because of how they lived, what they ate, and why they grew so big. Some ruled the oceans, while others walked the earth millions of years ago. And the craziest part? Some of these giants are still around today. So, if you're ready to meet the true kings and queens of the animal kingdom, let's get started. By the end of this video, you'll have a whole new appreciation for just how incredible nature can be. Let's kick things off with the undisputed heavyweight champion of the animal kingdom, the blue whale. This isn't just the most enormous creature alive today, it's the largest animal ever. Dinosaurs? Forget about them. The blue whale makes even the mightiest T-Rex look like a puppy. So, how big are we talking? Imagine 3 school buses parked in a row. That's roughly how long these giants get, up to 100 feet. And their weight? A jaw-dropping 200 tons. To put that into perspective, that's like stacking 33 adult elephants on a scale. But here's what blows my mind. Their tongue alone weighs as much as one of those elephants. Let me repeat that. An elephant-sized tongue. How does that even work? Blue whales need that massive mouth to gulp up to 8,000 pounds of tiny krill daily. They're the ultimate vacuum cleaners of the ocean. Now, where do you find these beasts? They're true globetrotters. Blue whales roam every sea, from Antarctica's freezing waters to California's sunny coasts. But here's the kicker. Despite their size, they're not hunting sharks or terrorizing boats. They're gentle giants, surviving on tiny shrimp-like creatures. And get this, their hearts are the size of a small car. A car. Just one beat of that heart can be heard over 2 miles away. But here's the sad part. These magnificent creatures were nearly wiped out by whaling in the 20th century. At one point, only a few thousand were left. Their numbers are slowly increasing thanks to conservation efforts. But they are still endangered. Why does this matter? Because the blue whale isn't just a marvel of nature, it's a reminder of how fragile even the most enormous creatures can be. They're living proof that size doesn't equal invincibility. And get this, scientists study their songs to understand how they communicate across thousands of miles of ocean. Imagine having a conversation with someone halfway around the world, without Wi-Fi. But here's the craziest thing. This is the first animal on our list. If you think the blue whale is wild, wait until you see the prehistoric monster that could crush a T-Rex in seconds. Yeah, we're going there next. Remember how I said the blue whale makes dinosaurs look small? Well, meet the exception. The Patagotitan. This dinosaur was so giant that it could have stepped on a T-Rex and barely noticed. And yes, that's not an exaggeration. This was a walking skyscraper. Let's break it down. The Patagotitan stretched up to 122 feet longer than a Boeing 737 airplane. Its weight? A staggering 70 tons. To put that into perspective, that's like stacking 10 adult elephants on a scale. But here's the kicker. Scientists found its fossils in Patagonia, a place so remote and wild that it feels like the world's edge. Hence the name, Patagotitan, literally means giant from Patagonia. Now, imagine this beast roaming Earth 100 million years ago. Back then, Patagonia wasn't the icy, windswept region we know today. It was a lush paradise filled with forests and rivers. A dinosaur buffet. The Patagotitan spent days eating non-stop, devouring leaves and plants to fuel its massive body. And here's the wild part. It didn't even chew its food. It swallowed whole branches, relying on gut bacteria to break down the rigid plant material. But how do we know all this? In 2014, a farmer in Argentina stumbled on a bone sticking out of the ground. Turns out, it was the Patagotitan's femur, a single bone taller than most humans. Over time, scientists dug up over 200 fossils from 6 different dinosaurs, painting a picture of a true titan. Here's what's crazy. The Patagotitan wasn't a lone giant. It lived in herds. Picture a group of these 70-ton creatures thundering across the landscape, shaking the ground like an earthquake. And despite their size, they were preyed on by massive carnivores. Yes, even giants had enemies. Why should you care? Because the Patagotitan challenges everything we think we know about size limits in nature. How did its heart pump blood through a neck longer than a school bus? How did its legs support that weight without snapping? Scientists are still scratching their heads. Oh, and if you're thinking, this is the biggest dinosaur ever, hold on. There's debate about whether another titan, Argentinosaurus, was slightly heavier. But here's the twist. Patagotitan's bones are more complete, giving us a clearer picture of its accurate scale. But wait, this isn't even the most shocking creature on our list. Next, we've got a terrifying sea monster that could bite a great white shark in half. Stay tuned. Okay, it's time to meet the real sea monster of the Jurassic era. Forget Jaws. This thing would have swallowed a great white shark like a snack. Meet the Liopleurodon, a terrifying marine reptile. Even other predators ran for their lives. First, let's talk about size. This beast grew to 33 feet long, about the length of a semi-truck. But unlike trucks, the Liopleurodon wasn't slow. It had 4 paddle-like flippers that let it zip through the water like a torpedo. Imagine a hybrid of a crocodile and a dolphin, but cranked up to nightmare mode. Now, where did this monster live? The oceans of Europe were around 160 million years ago. Europe was mostly underwater, a warm, shallow sea teeming with giant squid, fish, and other reptiles back then. Think of it as Jurassic Park, but underwater, and way scarier. Here's what made the Liopleurodon a top predator: its jaw power. Its teeth were more extended than kitchen knives, and its bite force could crush bone like cardboard. Scientists believe it ambushed prey from below, using its streamlined body to launch surprise attacks. Picture this: a giant squid minding its business, and bam! Liopleurodon bursts out of the dark, snapping its jaws shut with the force of a car crash. But how do we know all this? Fossils found in England and France tell the story. One fossilized skull alone was over 6 feet long, big enough to fit a human inside. And those flippers? They weren't just for show. Recent studies suggest Liopleurodon could swim at speeds of 25 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest predators in the ocean. Here's the kicker. It wasn't even the most significant marine reptile of its time. But what it lacked in size compared to giants like the Mosasaurus, it made up for in sheer aggression. Think of it as the pit bull of the Jurassic seas. Compact, muscular, and unstoppable. Why should you care? Because the Liopleurodon shows us that evolution doesn't always favor the biggest. Sometimes, it's about being the smartest, fastest, or meanest. And this thing checked all 3 boxes. But wait, this isn't even the wildest creature on our list. Next, we've got a giant millipede that could crawl over your car like a speed bump. Yeah, you heard that right. Stick around. It's time to introduce you to something that looks like it crawled straight out of a horror movie. Meet the Jaekelopterus, the largest sea scorpion ever to exist. And no, this isn't some tiny critter you'd find under a rock. This thing was a nightmare on claws. Let's start with the size. The Jaekelopterus grew to 8.2 feet long, taller than most NBA players. Imagine a scorpion the size of a grizzly bear with claws as big as your arm. Yeah, it's as terrifying as it sounds. Now, where did this monster live? Unlike modern scorpions, the Jaekelopterus didn't roam deserts. It lived in freshwater environments, rivers, lakes, and swamps, around 390 million years ago. Back then, Earth was a very different place. The continents were still forming, and the air was thick with oxygen, allowing creatures to grow to insane sizes. Here's what made the Jaekelopterus a top predator: its massive claws. These weren't just for show, they were deadly weapons. Scientists believe it used them to grab fish, other scorpions, and even early amphibians. Picture this: a fish swimming peacefully, and snap, the Jaekelopterus strikes, crushing its prey with claws stronger than a vice grip. But how do we know all this? Fossils found in Germany tell the story. One fossilized claw alone was over 18 inches long, showing this creature's mass. And here's the kicker: it didn't just rely on brute force. The Jaekelopterus had excellent vision, with large compound eyes that could spot prey from a distance. Here's the wild part. Despite its size, the Jaekelopterus wasn't invincible. It lived in a time when predators were evolving faster than ever, and competition was fierce. But it ruled the freshwater world for millions of years, a true king of its domain. Why should you care? Because the Jaekelopterus shows us that evolution can take some bizarre turns. A scorpion the size of a bear? That's nature saying, hold my beer. But wait, this isn't even the strangest creature on our list. Next, we've got a prehistoric crocodile that could eat dinosaurs for breakfast. Yeah, you heard that right. Stick around. Let's discuss a creature that makes modern crocodiles look like pets. Meet the Deinosuchus, a massive prehistoric crocodile that could have eaten a T-Rex for lunch. Yes, you heard that right. This was the ultimate dinosaur hunter. First, let's break down its size. The Deinosuchus grew to 40 feet long, longer than a school bus. And its weight? A jaw-dropping 8 to 10 tons. To put that into perspective, that's like stacking 2 adult elephants on a scale. But here's the kicker. Its skull alone was over 6 feet long, with teeth the size of bananas. Now, where did this monster live? During the late Cretaceous period, the Deinosuchus roamed North America around 80 million years ago. Back then, North America was a swampy, river-filled paradise, perfect for a giant crocodile. And this wasn't just any crocodile. It was the apex predator of its time. Here's what made the Deinosuchus so terrifying. Its bite force. Scientists estimate it could bite down with a force of over 23,000 pounds per square inch. To compare, a modern crocodile's bite force is around 3,700 pounds per square inch. That means the Deinosuchus could crush bone like it was tissue paper. But what did it eat? Pretty much anything it wanted. Fossil evidence shows it preyed on dinosaurs, including hadrosaurs and smaller theropods. Imagine a duck-billed dinosaur drinking water by a river, and snap, the Deinosuchus lunges out, dragging it into the depths. Here's the wild part. The Deinosuchus wasn't just a mindless killing machine. It was a patient hunter, using its size and strength to ambush prey. And it didn't just live in water. It could move on land, making it a threat everywhere. Why should you care? Because the Deinosuchus shows us that crocodiles haven't changed much in millions of years. They've just gotten smaller. This thing was the blueprint for modern crocs but on steroids. But wait, this isn't even the most shocking creature on our list. Up next, we've got an enormous flying reptile that could have blocked out the sun. Yeah, you're gonna want to stick around for this one. Let's escape from the oceans and jungles and meet the Indricotherium and Patagotitan. This wasn't just a big mammal. It was the largest land mammal ever to walk the earth. And trust me, it makes modern elephants look like puppies. First, let's talk about size. This beast stood up to 26 feet tall as a 2-story building. And its weight? A mind-blowing 15 to 20 tons. To put that into perspective, that's like stacking 3 adult elephants on a scale. But here's the kicker. Despite its size, it didn't have horns or tusks. Instead, it had a long neck, almost like a giraffe, and legs as thick as tree trunks. Now, where did this giant live? The Indricotherium roamed Asia around 30 million years ago, during the Oligocene epoch. Back then, Asia was a mix of forests and open plains, perfect for a herbivore of this size. And this wasn't just any herbivore. It was a gentle giant, munching on leaves and branches high up in the trees. Here's what made the Indricotherium so unique. Its adaptations. Its long neck allowed it to reach food that other animals couldn't, and its massive legs supported its enormous weight. But unlike modern rhinos, it didn't have a horn. Instead, it relied on its sheer size to deter predators. But how do we know all this? Fossils found in Mongolia and Pakistan tell the story. One fossilized skull alone was over 4 feet long, showing how massive this creature was. Why should you care? Because the Indricotherium shows us that mammals can grow to incredible sizes too. It's proof that evolution doesn't just favor reptiles or dinosaurs. Sometimes mammals get their turn in the spotlight. But wait, this isn't even the most shocking creature on our list. Up next, we've got a giant fish so big it could have swallowed a car. Yeah, you're gonna want to stick around for this one. It's time to dive back into the ocean for a creature that redefines the word big fish. Meet the Leedsichthys, the largest bony fish ever to exist. And no, this isn't some lazy whale shark. It was a school bus-sized filter feeder that could have swallowed you whole without even trying. Let's start with the jaw-dropping stats. The Leedsichthys grew to 55 feet long, longer than a city bus. Imagine a fish so massive it could have parked itself in your backyard and blocked the sunlight. But here's the twist. Despite its size, it wasn't a predator. Nope, this giant survived on plankton, just like modern whale sharks. Now, where did this gentle giant live? The Leedsichthys swam around 165 million years ago in the Jurassic Oceans. The seas were warmer, shallower, and teeming with life. And this fish wasn't just big, it was a survival master. Here's how it worked. The Leedsichthys had a massive mouth that acted like a net. It would swim slowly, gulping thousands of gallons of water to filter out tiny plankton. Picture a living swimming factory, processing ocean water 24/7 to stay alive. But here's the kicker. Scientists think it might have had a secret weapon. Some fossils suggest it had bony plates in its throat to crush shells, meaning it might have snacked on small crustaceans too. But how do we know all this? Fossils are rare because their skeleton is mostly cartilage, which doesn't fossilize well. The first fragments were found in England in the 1880s, and for decades, scientists argued over its actual size. Some thought it was 30 feet, Others said 70. Today the consensus is around 55 feet, but the debate shows how mysterious this creature remains. Why should you care? Because the Leedsichthys proves that size doesn't always mean aggression. This was a peaceful giant, cruising the oceans long before whales evolved. And here's the wild part. It vanished without a trace. No one knows why it went extinct, but some blame changes in plankton populations or rising competition. But wait, this isn't even the strangest creature on our list. Up next, we've got a giant ape so tall it could have stared a giraffe in the eye. Yeah, you're not going to want to miss this. Let's meet a creature that sounds like it belongs in a King Kong movie, but it's 100% real. Meet the Gigantopithecus, the most enormous ape to ever walk the earth. This thing wasn't just big, a 10-foot-tall, 1,200-pound monster that could have stared a giraffe in the eye. First, let's break down its size. The Gigantopithecus stood up to 10 feet tall and weighed as much as a small car. To put that into perspective, that's like stacking 2 NBA players on top of each other. But here's the kicker. Despite its massive size, it wasn't a ferocious predator. Nope, this giant was a herbivore, munching on bamboo, fruits, and leaves in Southeast Asian forests. Now, when did this beast live? During the Miocene epoch, the Gigantopithecus roamed the earth around 9 million years ago. Back then, Southeast Asia was a lush, dense jungle, perfect for a giant ape. But here's the twist. It wasn't alone. It shared its habitat with early humans, tigers, and even elephants. Here's what made the Gigantopithecus so fascinating. Its teeth. Fossils show it had massive molars, perfect for grinding tough plants. But here's the wild part. Scientists believe it might have gone extinct because of its diet. When the climate changed and bamboo forests shrank, this giant ape couldn't adapt fast enough. But how do we know all this? Fossils are rare, primarily teeth and jawbones, because their skeleton was made of cartilage, which doesn't fossilize well. The first fossils were found in a Chinese pharmacy in the 1930s and sold as dragon teeth. Today, we know they belonged to a real-life giant. Why should you care? Because the Gigantopithecus is a reminder that even the most enormous creatures can fall. It's also a glimpse into our evolutionary past. Scientists believe it's closely related to modern orangutans, making it our distant cousin. But wait, this isn't even the most shocking creature on our list. Up next, we've got a giant millipede so big, it could have crawled over your car like it was a speed bump. Yeah, you're gonna want to stick around for this one. Okay, it's time to talk about something that'll make your skin crawl, literally. Meet the Arthropleura, a giant, massive millipede-like creature that crawled over your car like a bump. And no, this isn't a sci-fi monster. It's 100% real. First, let's get straight. This wasn't your average backyard bug. The Arthropleura grew to 8.5 feet long, taller than Shaquille O'Neal lying flat on the ground. Imagine a millipede the size of a kayak with a body armored like a tank. But here's the kicker. Despite its terrifying appearance, it wasn't a predator. Nope, this giant was a herbivore, munching on rotting leaves and plants in ancient forests. Now, when did this nightmare fuel exist? Around 300 million years ago, during the Carboniferous period, North America and Europe were covered in dense, swampy forests. But here's the twist. The air had way more oxygen than today, about 35% compared to our 21%. That extra oxygen allowed bugs and invertebrates to grow sizes we couldn't imagine. Here's what's wild. The Arthropleura didn't have venom, fangs, or claws. It didn't need them. Its size alone was enough to scare off predators. Picture this. A giant amphibian spots the Arthropleura crawling through the undergrowth and thinks, nope, not today. But how do we know all this? Fossils found in Scotland and the US tell the story. One fossilized trackway, a set of footprints, stretches over 6 feet long, showing how it moved. And here's the kicker. Despite its size, it was surprisingly light. Scientists estimate it weighed only about 100 pounds, thanks to its hollow, segmented body. Why should you care? Because the Arthropleura is proof that sometimes, nature's scariest-looking creatures are harmless. It's also a reminder of how Earth's atmosphere shapes life. When oxygen levels dropped, giants like this vanished. But here's the craziest part. We've never found a complete fossil. Just fragments of its exoskeleton and those creepy trackways. That's right. This 8-foot millipede is still mostly a mystery. Let's take a break from prehistoric giants and talk about a living legend, the African elephant. This isn't just the biggest animal on land today. It's a walking ecosystem, shaping forests, savannas, and even the lives of humans. And trust me, its size is only half the story. African elephants stand up to 13 feet tall, and weigh a jaw-dropping 6 to 7 tons. To put that into perspective, that's like parking 3 SUVs on a scale. But here's the kicker. They eat up to 300 pounds daily. That's like you eating 1,500 cheeseburgers every 24 hours. Now, where do these giants live? Sub-Saharan Africa, a land of scorching deserts, dense jungles, and endless savannas. But elephants aren't picky. They adapt. Need water? They'll dig wells with their tusks. Need food? They'll knock down trees like toothpicks. And here's the wild part. Their trails become highways for smaller animals. But it's not just their size that's impressive. Elephants are geniuses. They mourn their dead, recognize themselves in mirrors, and communicate using deep rumbles that humans can't hear. Scientists even say they have names for each other. Imagine a 7-ton creature calling out, "Hey Dave," across the savannah. Here's the sad truth. These gentle giants are in trouble. Poaching and habitat loss have cut their numbers by over 60% in the last century. But there's hope. Conservation groups use drones, AI, and even bees to protect them. Yes, bees. Elephants hate getting stung. So farmers use beehive fences to keep them safe. Why should you care? Because elephants aren't just animals, they're gardeners. They spread seeds for miles, creating forests that soak carbon and fight climate change. Lose them, and we lose a weapon against global warming. Let's end our list with a creature whose story is equally fascinating and heartbreaking. Meet Steller Sea Cow, a gentle giant humans managed to wipe out within 27 years. Yep, you heard that right. This massive marine mammal went from discovery to extinction faster than you can say conservation. First, let's talk about size. Steller's sea cow grew up to 30 feet long, about the length of a school bus, and weighed a staggering 8 to 10 tons. To put that into perspective, that's like stacking 2 adult hippos on a scale. But here's the kicker. It wasn't a fast-swimming predator. Nope. This giant was a slow, peaceful herbivore, munching on kelp in the icy waters of the North Pacific Ocean. Now, here's where things get wild. In 1741, a shipwrecked crew led by explorer Georg Steller stumbled upon these creatures near Alaska. At the time, thousands of sea cows lived there, utterly unafraid of humans. But that trust became their downfall. Sailors quickly realized they were easy targets, slow-moving, full of meat, and blubber perfect for oil. Within 27 years, humans hunted them to extinction. Let that sink in. From discovery to gone in less than 3 decades. It's one of the fastest, human-caused extinctions in history. But why should you care? Because Steller's sea cow is a brutal reminder of how fragile even the most enormous creatures can be. These animals had survived for millions of years, thriving in the harsh Arctic waters. Yet they couldn't survive human greed. Here's what's even sadder. We know almost nothing about them. Steller's notes describe them as social, family-oriented animals with bark-like skin and small, useless teeth. They communicated with sighs and groans, and mothers fiercely protected their calves. But today, all we have are skeletons and sketches. Now, imagine if they'd survived. They'd be the largest marine mammals after whales, a living link to a wilder ocean. Instead, they're a cautionary tale. But here's the twist. Scientists debate whether to return them. Using DNA from fossils, some want to de-extinct them. Would that fix our mistake? Or is it too late? And with that, we've reached the end of our list. But before we wrap up, let's recap these giants and ask ourselves, will we learn from their stories or repeat the same mistakes? Conclusion. So there you have it. 11 of the largest, most jaw-dropping animals ever to walk, swim, or fly on Earth. From the blue whale's elephant-sized tongue to the sea cow's tragic end, these giants remind us that nature is full of wonders and warnings. If there's one thing to take away, it's this. Size doesn't guarantee survival. Even the most enormous creatures can vanish if we're not careful. So, which of these animals shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more wild stories about our planet's past. Who knows? Maybe someday, we'll meet these giants again. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video. And if you're craving more, check out our videos on animal extinction. Thanks for watching. Stay curious.